Hi, welcome to Module 5. It's the final module of the semester, so congratulations for making it this far. This module will be discussing the future challenges for nonprofit organizations. There are 4 readings, and these 4 readings form the basis of your final. Your final is a memo and a presentation of that memo to the class. So keep that in mind. These 4 readings, these challenges are directly connected or will impact all the stuff that you've learned in the last 5 weeks. So keep that in mind as you go through the readings. And let me give you a little preview of what these readings will be about. Like I said, there are 4 readings. The first 2 are an uncomfortable conversation, part 1 and part 2. These were published in Nonprofit Quarterly a year or so ago. And they're very important questions or conversation to be having because it's really looking at the role of nonprofit organizations in the policy-making process. So this uncomfortable conversation brings up 3 topics. The first one is how government is shifting more burdens to nonprofit organizations without necessarily also providing the funding for these organizations to provide these services. And this isn't something new. It's just over time government is relying more and more on nonprofits, especially now with the tightened fiscal budgets, and the federal government is also pulling back money from the states, or it's not lending out as much money to the states to make sure that it doesn't go even further into debt. States are mandated to balance their budgets, and to be able to do that, they are load shedding a lot of stuff to nonprofit organizations. So that article really gets into that. The next part ends up being that these policymakers who are making these decisions to rely more on nonprofit organizations really don't understand the nonprofit sector or the role of these organizations or the management of these organizations, and that ends up being problematic. And that is directly connected with the third part, which is the role of nonprofit organizations in the policy-making process. Do they have a seat at the table? And the article, especially part 2, really gets into that. So that's the uncomfortable conversation reading. The next reading is Where Philanthropy is Headed in 2011, and we're beyond that, but it is still applicable. And the final reading really looks at the convergence of 5 different changes in society that are going to impact organizations. These 5 changes are demographics, technology, networking, so networking is organizations working together, the increasing role of civic engagement and volunteering, as well as the blurring of the sectors of the boundaries. If you think back to that first week in the introduction to the nonprofit sector, there are 3 sectors. There's the public sector, the nonprofit sector, and the private sector. And these sectors are no longer as distinct as they once were, so the boundaries between them are blurring. Those 5 things are now converging, and that convergence is really having an impact on nonprofit organizations. And so that's what the readings will cover this week. So please do all the readings prior to watching the little snippets of the lectures. Be very vocal in the discussion board as always. Please see the rubric for what so you know what I expect out of your post and your replies to others. And then please submit your final memo. This is your final to Blackboard. You'll see a link there. And when you are in class, please have a presentation ready, and I hope by then you have also had a chance to read everybody else's final memo as well, so you're prepared to ask them questions about this, and we can really get more into a discussion about these challenges of the nonprofit for the nonprofit sector. There's my cat who just decided to walk by. I told you at the beginning, you know, we have some cats here, and he's a ham, and here he is. So please excuse him. And again, this module ends with a survey, so I please ask that you complete the survey. If you have any questions, concerns, please contact me. I am more than happy to answer them. But until then, I hope you enjoy the module and you learn much, and it really starts to pique your interest even more in nonprofit organizations. Thank you.